The story begins with the Caribbean Sea where a family was celebrating vacations. The mother, Julia, was swimming joyfully in the water. Suddenly, she feels something strange beneath the water. Before she could understand anything, some unknown thing catches her leg and starts dragging her into the depth. Seeing death so close, Julia starts screaming like crazy. But her daughter Cassie had put on headphones in her ears, and the husband Tom was busy catching fish with the son, Ben. After a long time, Tom's attention goes to Julia. He immediately dives into the water, and somehow pulls his wife out from the mouth of death. The terrified Julia considers this a deception of the fast waves of water, but she was unaware that this was just a trailer of the upcoming terrible destruction. That same night, the entire family was celebrating Ben's birthday. Just then, a heavy voice echoes outside the boat. They see outside that a very large pod of whale fishes was running from there like crazy. Tom explains to everyone that due to the storm, a disturbance has occurred in the magnetic power of the earth, due to which these fishes have lost their way out of fear. Just then, suddenly, their boat shakes very violently. To look at the boat, Tom dives into the water, but just after a few seconds he comes out of the water badly terrified. There was a deep wound on his shoulder. He tells nervously that inside the water, some dangerous thing had passed close to him. While saving his life from that same thing, he had collided with the fan of the boat. Now their boat had become badly damaged. The signals of the phone and radio were missing, and the engine of the boat also had stopped completely. Tom reassures the family that they have food and water for 4 days. But just then, some strange activity happens on the machine. They all come running outside, and seeing the sight of the sky, their senses fly away. Large balls of fire from the sky were falling straight into the ocean. Tom looks carefully and tells that those are not shooting stars, but damaged satellites falling from space. Just then, a very large ball of fire falls into the water exactly close to them. Tom nervously tries to start the engine of the boat, but Ben sees that the engine already had burnt into ashes. In this duration, the boat shakes very violently and Ben falls and gets injured. Tom somehow comes running bringing life jackets for everyone. But just then, suddenly, all the electricity of the boat goes away and darkness spreads there. Tom immediately turns on the emergency light, but by then conditions had worsened completely. Blood suddenly starts flowing from Julia's nose and Cassie starts vomiting. The effect of the reversing of Earth's magnetic power was now clearly visible on their bodies. Outside, the wind becomes so ferocious that the glass windows of the boat get shattered in a matter of moments. Death was standing in front, and Tom fires a flare toward the sky in one last hope of saving his and his family's life. The next morning, when the family regains consciousness, they see that they have survived alive from that terrible storm. Their boat was completely broken, but seeing the sight outside, the ground slips beneath their feet. Now they were not in any watery ocean. All the water of the world had vanished like some magic, and their boat was now stranded on a dry and unknown desert. Seeing all this, the entire family remains numb. Cassie searches for a network in the phone, but she finds nothing. Tom checks the compass and his senses fly away. He tells that the directions of the earth have become completely reversed. On the other side, Julia and Tom count the remaining food and water. Then, in the hope of help, Tom ties his birthday balloons with a high stone so that if someone passes from there, they can see them. Just then, Tom hears the voice of a submarine's captain on the radio. The captain's submarine also had got stranded on dry land in this same way. The captain tells that due to the reversing of directions, all the water has receded, but the land is shaking again and again. This meant that the directions will return to their old place again, and in just a few days, all the water of the ocean will come back together. When this happens, then terrible waves will destroy everything forever. The captain tells them to reach some high place immediately. There was space for only 3 people to sit in the submarine. Therefore, Julia and Tom convince the captain that he should take at least their children with him. The captain agrees and tells them the way to reach his submarine. Tom calculates that it will take 2 to 3 days to reach there on foot. He tells the family to rest tonight so that they can start this long journey of theirs early in the morning. The next morning, when the family was preparing to go from there, just then Tom sees something moving far away. He was a limping man who had a spear in his hand and a dog along with him. Tom goes near him for help and gives him a water bottle. That man quietly drinks water and suddenly hits the empty bottle on Tom's face and drops him to the ground. Before Julia could come running near, that beast stabs his spear into Tom's stomach and brutally cuts his throat, due to which Tom breaks his breath right there. After this, that killer runs behind Julia and throws the spear at her, which goes piercing through her shoulder. Despite the pain, Julia runs toward the boat, saving her life. She tells the children to hide inside and locks all the doors. Ben and Cassie hide inside the sofa. Julia makes the children hold the flare gun and herself hides holding a knife. That ferocious man enters the boat and starts looting food. Taking the chance, Julia tries to run, but his dog attacks. To save herself, Julia stabs the dog with the knife. Seeing the corpse of his dog, that beast becomes even more crazy. He finds Julia and beats her badly. He catches Julia's hair, slams her face on the floor, and starts choking her throat. The children hidden in the sofa cannot watch this condition of their mother. Cassie gathers courage, comes out, and fires the flare gun straight at that killer. The burning flare hits that man straight, and in a matter of moments, a terrible fire spreads inside the boat. That man starts writhing in pain. Julia, taking advantage of this exact opportunity, gives him a powerful kick and runs outside with the children, taking the map and bag from there. As soon as they come outside, the children hug the corpse of their father Tom and start crying. Julia also says goodbye to Tom for the last time, but just then that killer comes out of the boat burning completely in the flames of fire. Seeing this, the family runs from there to save their lives. They had reached only a few steps away when the entire boat standing behind them explodes with a very large and loud blast. Escaping somehow from that horrific killer, the family stops near a small waterfall. There, Cassie says that man must have attacked them only after seeing the balloons put up by Ben. Hearing this, Ben starts feeling that his father's death has happened only because of him. Julia explains to him lovingly that there was no fault of his in this. But they do not get time to rest there because that killer was still chasing them. They start running ahead again to save their lives. The sight of the path was very scary. They find toxic waste and large dead animals of the ocean everywhere, which now had started rotting badly. Due to continuous walking and heat, Ben starts becoming unconscious from the shortage of water. When Julia picks up the bottle to drink water, she sees that it was completely empty. Cassie had by mistake not closed the cap properly, and all the water had spilled. Seeing death in front from thirst, a long argument happens between them, but instead of giving up, they gather their remaining courage and move ahead again. On night happening, they find a broken airplane on the way, inside which they decide to pass the night. There, Julia finds an old picture of theirs in Tom's jacket, and she starts telling the children the story of her first meeting with Tom. But in the middle of the silence at midnight, when Cassie goes outside, that same ferocious man grabs her from behind. Before he could kill Cassie, Julia pounces on him to take revenge for her husband's death. And to save the children, she stabs that man again and again like crazy and finishes him right there. The next morning, the corpse of that killer was covered with flies, and there were many marks of animal bites on his body. The family moves ahead from there. But as soon as they leave, strange and scary crabs start coming out from the mouth of that dead man. After walking for a few hours in this dry hell, Julia and Cassie stop to see the way, but Ben, writhing with thirst, just keeps moving ahead without stopping. Just then Ben sees a pond in front, and he puts his mouth into it like crazy. Julia screams immediately, pulls him back, and explains that this rotting water can take his life. The very bright sun and thirst were breaking their bodies. Ben starts getting dizzy. Just then they find some old chairs on the way, with which Julia and Cassie make a roof to escape from the sun. Julia gives an injection of medicine to Ben, and they all decide to pass the night right there. The next morning, Julia's eye opens with a strange sound. She comes out, looks, and remains numb out of fear. A very large and scary swarm of crabs was advancing toward them. Julia runs, wakes up the children, and they all start running to save their lives. In front, they see a very large cargo ship where 3 people were present from before. Out of them, 1 woman wanted to help them, but the remaining 2 men flatly refused and locked themselves inside a large box of iron. That swarm of crabs now had reached exactly close to them. Julia quickly makes the children climb on top of that box, but when she herself starts climbing, the swarm of crabs pounces on her and brutally starts biting her leg. Before they could drag Julia down, the children apply their full power and pull their mother up. There was a hole in that box from which many crabs enter inside. The people present inside fire bullets, but the crabs were so many that they eat those 3 alive in a matter of moments. Julia ties a bandage on her blood-filled leg and becomes unconscious right there out of pain. When Julia regains consciousness, she sees that a sandstorm is going on all around, but her children were not there. Julia nervously climbs down from the container and picks up the gun of that dead woman. Hearing Julia's voice, Cassie and Ben come back there. Cassie tells that they had gone to find help to escape from that storm. Those 3 hide in an open container. To stop the blood from flowing, Julia burns her deep wound with Tom's lighter. This pain was so terrible that a soul-shivering scream of Julia comes out. After the storm stops, they find drinking water and a radio in another container. Julia immediately calls the captain from that radio. The captain tells that the oxygen of the open air has made these crabs of the underworld completely crazy, and the scariest news was that all the water of the ocean now is going to come back much earlier than expected. Only a few hours are left for them to escape. The captain fires a flare in the sky from far away to tell his location, seeing which the family immediately starts running toward the submarine. The submarine was now exactly in front of them, but to reach there they had to cross a very large rock. As soon as they move ahead, suddenly a terrible earthquake comes and heavy rocks start falling from above. Julia agilely pushes her children and saves them, but herself steps back to escape from getting buried. Now a very large wall of fallen rocks had stood between Julia and her children. Julia says to the children, crying, that they should leave her right here and move ahead toward the submarine. Cassie did not want to leave her mother at any cost, but Julia, crying, makes a firm promise to them that she will definitely find them later. With a heavy heart, Cassie moves ahead toward the submarine, taking her brother crying. The children cross the rock and reach near the submarine, but there, the captain was lying covered in blood. He tells that his time is finished and now all 3 seats are for the children. Seeing one space extra, Cassie runs back toward the rock to save her mother. In this meantime, on the other side of the wall, the swarm of crabs attacks Julia. Julia fires bullets, but the crabs were so many that they were not taking the name of finishing at all. Just then, Cassie extends her hand from above the wall. Leaving death behind, Julia climbs up somehow with the injured leg and both run toward the submarine. Ben was standing on the roof of the submarine stopping the crabs with bullets. The crabs pounce on the captain's corpse and start eating it. Julia takes the gun and sends the children inside. On bullets finishing, she throws the gun at the crabs and enters inside and closes the gate. Outside the submarine, an ocean of crabs had come, but just then the real ocean returns. All 3 tie belts on their seats. The terrible and fast waves of the ocean collide with the submarine and start tossing it like a twig. In front of Julia's eyes, the entire destruction revolves with a loud sound. Those 3 become unconscious. After some time, when they regain consciousness, they weep out of joy that they are alive. They open the gate of the submarine and come outside. The waves of the ocean had brought and left them in the middle of a destroyed city. And with this, the story ends right here. How did you like the video? Do tell in the comment and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Like and subscribe to Movie 2 Clips for more best video.